Hello, all you ghosts and goblins. This is the real Manos, and I have a new Mst3k video. Now, I'm going to try and do these at least once every 2 weeks now, because I do have a few of you out there who really enjoy seeing these, and I love talking about Mst3k, and I don't do it enough. So, this week, I thought I'd do something a little bit new, where I talk about movies themselves that they made fun of on the show. Of course, everybody knows Mystery Science Theater went 10 seasons on Comedy Central and Sci-Fi Channel. The premise was to make fun of bad movies, but you know what? Some of those movies weren't so bad. And there's something I have found interesting, and I'm sure a lot of other Misties out there have also discovered this, that when you love this show, you want to watch it over and over again so you can get all the jokes and relive it, and it just becomes habit forming for some. And a weird thing happens sometimes. You will actually appreciate the films, and in some cases even love them. Now, that's what this list to this week is all about. This is my top 10 Mst3k films that I actually like. And these are movies that I would actually watch without the riffing. And I would even recommend these films to you to watch, to believe it or not. Some of these episodes are some of my favorite episodes, by the way. But I gotta say, I've grown to really discover how cool some of these films are. And in a couple of cases, I've sought out and bought the non-riffed versions of these films. Now, I'm going to just start right here with number 10. Number 10 is Gunslinger. It's directed by Roger Corman, and it stars Beverly Garland, Allison Hayes, and has a few of the regular Roger Corman actors in it. And how's this for a premise? It was a late 50s, early 60s Western, and the wife of the Marshal of this small town is assassinated because Allison Hayes plays this saloon owner, madam, who is scheming to make a deal that would actually kind of destroy the town, but make her a whole lot of money. The only one who was going to stop her was the Marshal, so she had him killed off so she can get this deal finalized. Well, there's no one else who can take the job of the Marshal for at least a week. So what Beverly Garland's character does, she takes over the job, and she starts cleaning up the town, and she just discovers this conspiracy that is going on. Meanwhile, Allison Hayes' character hires this sharpshooter, this old West gunslinger, to come kill her. But when he comes, he finds himself falling in love with the widow, Marshal. And she seems to have feelings for him as well. But hey, at the end of the week, he's supposed to kill her. And this film should have been really good. And it's actually really, really well acted by the whole cast. And Beverly Garland is very convincing. She played a number of tough roles during the 50s. And she really sells the part. The problem with this movie, and the reason why it's the lowest on this list at number 10, is because the script sucks. It's really terrible. Because every character in this movie is a moron, and you find yourself, with repeat viewings, screaming at the characters to stop being so stupid. If only this film wasn't so cheaply made as far as the script and Corman's directing. This is obviously one of the films Corman made that he needed to film that week, so he shot a Western with the obvious fake false fronts of these buildings and there's no extras. You have no idea how many people are in this town. I mean, why are they so worried about saving this town? There's like 5 people who seem to live there, and they all get killed at the end. This would have been a great movie. Even the poster, I think, looks awesome, by the way. This would have been a great film, but it's definitely, this is a good remakeable film, I think. Now, number 9 is Jack Frost, and this is one of those kind of Swedish, Russian kind of films that got strangely dubbed and retitled, and a lot of the characters are kind of renamed. Like the witch, I think her name's Baba Aga or something like that, and she's renamed Hunchback Fairy and stuff like that. This film is kind of a take on the whole Cinderella thing with the evil stepmother and one ugly sister, and she's like constantly beaten down, and she marries well out of revenge, I guess. But it's kind of a whimsical film, and it's really beautiful. The production values on this project is amazing. The film, I can't imagine this film having a huge budget, just out of the nature of where it came from. So what they do with the effects and the cinematography is just really fantastic. This film is actually really, really beautiful to watch, especially when it snows and turns to winter. It's just an amazing film, and the effects are really inventive. There's some effects that I'm not even sure how they do it, like the witch's house. She lives in this house that is kind of a big tree, and it has legs, and it turns around. I guess they did it with trick photography or something like that, and a guy in a suit. But it really looks amazing on film. So, yeah, and by the way, confession, this is one of Lindsay's favorite episodes. Mostly due to the movie, but, the jokes are just top notch. Number 8 is I Was a Teenage Werewolf, starring Michael Landon. And I'm willing to wager this is the most well-known movie that they ever made fun of. This was on the Sci-Fi Channel, when head writer Mike Nelson wanted to be a little more challenging with their choices, and he started to try and pick movies that were fairly respected and, poke fun at them. And this was one of those films they did, and they do get a lot of great jokes off it. But you know what? This is actually still a pretty good film. It still fairly holds up, and I think handles the themes that the original Wolfman film with Lon Chaney Jr. Tried. But I think it explores them a little bit better, really, with the wild nature of man and how it is unleashed. And what's interesting is this film. The cause of our character's werewolfness is not some magic spell or getting bit by another werewolf. It's due to a science experiment gone wrong. You've got to remember, it's the 50s, so there's a lot more science in this stuff. So he kind of just goes crazy. Well, first off, he plays this guy who has a huge temper problem. He can never keep his shit together. He's always, like, lashing out at people. And he's kind of a jerk. And so he's eventually asked to go see the psychiatrist, who, unfortunately, is an evil madman. And he's experimenting with turning people into beasts. And so that's what he does through this hypnosis experiment. And he starts, like, losing control and randomly becoming a werewolf. And the werewolf effect, the werewolf makeup, I think, is really good. And it's still fairly iconic and fairly well known. I remember when I was a kid and I saw this film, I was pretty scared by it. So, I don't know. It's just weird years later watching it on Mst3k. But I have to say, it's actually one of the more intense films. Especially the hypnosis scenes, I think, are really effective. Well, number 7 is Bird Eye Gordon's The Magic Sword. And what's interesting about The Magic Sword is it's from Bird Eye Gordon. And Bird Eye Gordon was a B-movie filmmaker from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And his specialty was the giant bug movies. He did a lot of those. He did giant people movies. He even did a shrinking people movie. He was just fascinated with things getting big and sometimes small. And this was a change of pace film for him. And it's a fantasy movie. It's kind of a standard fantasy film. This evil wizard steals this king's daughter out of revenge, and this lone hero who's in love with her stands up to meet the challenges and such like that. So yeah, as far as originality, it's not that extraordinary, but it's a lot of fun to watch. The cast is really good. It has Basil Rathbone as the evil wizard, and the young hero George. His mother is a witch herself. Because what's interesting, it doesn't treat witches and warlocks as always evil. There's good witches and evil witches and stuff like that. The challenges are really interesting and creepy. There are some really creepy moments too in the movie. And the effects aren't so bad. I think Bernard Gordon's penchant for effects, I think with a budget, this film actually looked pretty decent. Sometimes Bernard Gordon didn't have a good budget for his films, like Beginning of the End, for instance, looks terrible. And some of his other movies too, but I think he wisely uses the effects. He even uses little people in a scene, and they look great in the 2 minutes, 3 minutes they're in the movie. The dragon at the end looks really good. So matter of fact, this is the first episode I think I watched where Joel himself, in the middle of the episode, said, "You know what, guys? I'm starting to think for Bernard Gordon, this is pretty good." And the robot said, "I don't know." And even at the end, Joel thanks the scientists for sending them a pretty decent movie this time. So, yeah. With that said, even Joel enjoyed the film. And I think the writers like the film. I think sometimes the writers would pick movies that weren't so bad because they're a little more fun to watch over and over again. I know Mike Nelson has talked about that. He would dread watching Red Zone Cuba over and over again, and Monster Go-Go and films like that are so painful for them to watch because they have to watch the movie over and over again to get all these jokes. So I could see why they could sometimes want to make fun of a better movie. Now, number 6 is Gorgo, and this is a British Godzilla film. And the only known star in this is William Sylvester, if that gives you any idea. William Sylvester was in 2001, and he was kind of a standard supporting man kind of actor. He was in films here and there. And this film's pretty good. Actually, I'll be honest, it is rather dull for a while. The motivations for getting the beast. This movie only gets exciting when the monster shows up. And it does a cool bait and switch on the audience, where you think the monster is one thing, and actually turns out to be something else. And, it's really kind of clever the way it is. And at the end, when Gorgo tears the fucking shit out of London, it destroys London. All throughout the city, doesn't miss a thing, and the effects are really good, actually. I think the Gorgo suit looks good. I think the modeling on this film looks good. I think the last 20, 30 minutes, I think it is, when Gorgo hits the city, is just amazing. And the monster's original appearance in the film is also really good, where it emerges out of the sea. It's a really cool scene. The problem is, it is really dull for a while. And there's a weird observation that I think Tom Servo makes, is there's no women in the movie. Now, maybe in the extended version, the non-Mystery Science Theater version, maybe there's a scene or two with women in it, but I don't know. They're very, very few and far between in this film. So it does, after a second viewing, you go, wow, that's weird. There's no, female characters in this movie. There's extras, but that's it. So, now, we are at Sword in the Dragon for number 5, and this is another one of those Russo-Finnish kind of movies, and I really enjoyed this film. It's about it's the legend of Ilya Mulamed, and how he was a sickly man who became stronger and gets the sword of Invincor and becomes the hero of his nation, and defends it from the evil Tugars. I think that's their name, Tugars? I think they're supposed to be the mongrels horde or something like that. I'm not sure if they're renamed for this film. I'm not sure what the origin is, but that This is another one of those films that just looks beautiful and expensive, and it looks like there's 5 million extras in this movie during the battle scenes. The effects look good, like the stuff with the Wind Demon. The Wind Demon's makeup is amazing, actually. I know he's got to probably have air bladders in his mouth when he's blowing the wind, but it's just a really good effect. Also, some of the standard effects that just come out of nowhere. I think this film is just amazing to look at. And the dragon, this also has a dragon, a 2-headed flying dragon at the end. And I think it looks better than the... well, no, maybe no. I think the magic sword one, come to think of it, is better looking. But this dragon moves a lot more, so it is really interesting. And of course, this is one of the films that has a really good hero. Ilya is a really good standard hero. I mean, some of the heroes in Mystery Science Theater movies are just terrible, and they're passive or irritating or unlikable. And Ilya Mulyamed is a good... I mean, he's like the mythic hero, and you want to root for him. Number 4, speaking of a hero you're rooting for, Fugitive Alien, which is the Sandy Frank buyout of this TV series from Japan, where they edited together as 2 movies. And I think they would be really great, except they're edited too much to fit into the 90-minute, 2-hour time space. So you really feel like you're missing a lot, especially the second one, Fugitive Alien 2. Especially in the last hour, it's like you're getting hit with a constant barrage of information that you feel like, wow, wait. Where have we been? They have new suits. We're all of a sudden dealing with a mother subplot. So Fugitive Alien, the first one, I think, puts it together the best. Although it really doesn't have that extraordinary... but I don't know. The ending's not bad, actually. Quick explanation. Our hero, Ken, is a star wolf. He's part of this elite corps of warriors from this other planet. And they kind of terrorize the whole universe, including Earth. And during a raid on Earth, he and his good friend are shooting a whole bunch of people, and a child comes into their line of fire, and his friend wants to kill the child, and he decides, no, that's too much. So he tries to stop him and ends up killing his friend. He's seen by the other Star Wolves that he turned against his friend, and he is immediately chased after, and he has nowhere else to go, and he ends up getting rescued by this small spaceship crew, the Bacchus 3, led by Captain Joe and Rocky and Tammy, which I assume weren't the original Japanese names. This is back in the 70s, where when they redub, they completely changed the names. Nowadays, they usually try to keep the names. But you watch him become part of the crew, because Captain Joe loses his family, and he was going to retire, and now he has no choice but to keep working at it, because he has nothing else to do with his life. And he believes Ken's story, and he decides to give him a chance secretly, as he disguised. He lets him go undercover as an Earthman. I guess he falsifies his documents and stuff like that. So he makes him part of the crew to give him a second chance. Meanwhile, his old race of aliens are looking for him. This is really good. By the way, it's obvious that this was kind of that Japanese TV studios knockoff on Star Wars. There's a lot of the Star Wolf attack planes look just like X-wing fighters. The villain looks like Darth Vader, and there are a few shots even that look a little like Star Wars, especially the very end in Fugitive Alien 2. But the effects for the TV Japanese budget look pretty good, and I found this story really engaging. I would be interested to see the actual uncut maybe subtitled version of this series, because I know that this was just. I know this show has to be much better than the way Sandy Frank presented it. Sandy Frank had done, licenses for other TV shows from Japan, like Battle of the Planets. And I wish he had kind of done that route, where he had just redubbed it as a TV series and shown that. Maybe during the 70s that just wasn't going to happen. Like with animation, it was easier. That's the only way I can think. So maybe they realized, let's just put it on video and TV and show it as a movie and stuff like that. But I really dig it. Number 3 is Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. Now, Mst3k did 2 Godzilla movies, Godzilla vs. Megalon and Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. And I tend to favor Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster more. These teenagers lose one of their brothers, and they go out looking for him, and they run onto Monster Island, and they realize that there's the secret army putting together some kind of shenanigans that looks really mysterious. They seem to be on the attack. They're about to maybe attack and try and take over the world. Meanwhile, they have this giant sea monster that looks like a crab lobster thing, kind of, protecting. So they're kind of stuck. And then they discover Godzilla's on the island. So they try to see if they can manipulate the situation to get Godzilla to work for them. This is a cool movie. Now, the plot is really interesting. I really kind of dug the plight of our human heroes, and they move the plot along pretty well, almost to the point where you forget to wait for Godzilla, because some Godzilla movies you just wait and wait and wait. It's like, when is Godzilla going to show up? When is Godzilla going to show up? And this one, you're kind of following the story for the most part, and then, oh, hey, Godzilla's here, cool. Also, Mothra's in this, and I found the movie fairly enjoyable. There is a slight problem with Godzilla's suit. The Godzilla suit looks a little worse for wear in this one. It looks a little mussed up. But other than that, man, what a cool movie. Number 2 is, appropriately enough, Moon02. Now, this is a first season episode, back when the riffing wasn't as strong. And that's unfortunate, because Moon02, it's a really good movie, actually. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I enjoyed this film a lot. It's from Hammer. Now, Hammer was more famous for their horror movies, but they did just try to experiment with doing a science fiction film. And I don't know when this came out in relation to 2001, but there does seem to be that kind of vibe in the movie. And it's a Western in space. And I may be mistaken, but this might be the first film that really kind of experimented with that idea. Now, I could be wrong. There could have been a couple others, but or you could even call Star Trek, the Western in space. But this does a really interesting job, and it takes place in the future, which I think is probably now. And the premise is the moon's been colonized and has gone really corporate, and there's a lot of people doing a lot of work for hire kind of crap, and our hero is asked to, go on a mission to take this thing somewhere, and it turns out to be this highly illegal, dangerous thing that, could, destroy everything on the moon and, make a lot of money for our bad guys. It's really well acted. The effects are really good, and it is one of those things that you just find engaging. And what's cool is it does seem to have its own universe. You get the feeling these characters really do know each other, and it has a really catchy theme. The animated credits are a little goofy for the rest of the film. They're kind of Pink Panther-ish, maybe a little too cartoony for the movie, but the theme song is really amazingly catchy. So, what could be number 1? And I think if you've been following a lot of my videos and posts, maybe you might kind of figure this out. It's Danger Diabolic. And it stars John Philip Law and Marissa Mell, and I actually disagree with them making fun of this movie on the show because it's too good to make fun of. Well, for the show. I mean, you can make fun of any movie, really. You can make fun of Citizen Kane, you can make fun of Star Wars, you can make fun of Danger Diabolic, but I always feel like the film should have some kind of level of fail to it, even the really good ones. And this film is really exciting. Now I will say that it's the last episode, so probably finding the right movie wasn't a concern. They just had to get it together to produce the episode. So I'm willing to give it that. That's my own personal theory. But this film is based on a tie-in comic book about a thief known as Diabolic and his girlfriend, Ava. And they're constantly being pursued by the Italian government and the mob. And this is a film by Mario Bava. And Ennio Morricone does the music. And it's just such a cool movie where he's being chased by Inspector Ginkgo of the police, and you see him get out of scrape after scrape after scrape. He's sort of like a male Catwoman, and they don't seem to care what damage they're causing the government. And you see the police get more and more desperate. They're even teaming up with the mob to get these guys, and just every scene is just so exciting. The music is just amazing. The score by Morricone is just beautiful. You could just throw this on in the background and just listen to this fantastic score. It's very 60s and very inventive. I highly recommend checking it out. If you can find this movie, find it. Even if you have to just watch it on YouTube without the riffing. I think you can still order it off Amazon. I love this film so much. I wanted Captain Logan of Geek Revolution to review it for Superhero Rewind, and I was very happy to hear that he enjoyed the film a lot. So I think the film works 40, 50 years later. I think people really get a kick out of watching the movie, and I do recommend you seeing it. I think that's it for now with Mystery Science Theater. I hope you enjoyed this little countdown and a little look into what I like in films. Check me out in 2 more weeks. I'll have another Mystery Science Theater video, and I think I'm going to be talking about Cinematic Titanic. Later.